It would be safe to say that almost all of you in this room have at some time been behind a moped driver in this area. While they can hold up traffic and prove to be an inconvenience, they can also pose a great safety risk to others on the roads. I will be discussing the problems moped use causes on our roadways and possible solutions. I will also be informing you of a current bill on the table and contact information of lawmakers so that you can get a hold of them and let them know your opinions if you choose to do so. Mopeds cause a great deal of inconvenience and safety concerns on our major roadways. According to South Carolina Code of Laws, Section 56-1-1710, by definition, a moped cannot have a motor over 50 cc's or an input of more than 1,500 watts. This limits them to a speed of around 30 miles per hour at best. However, moped drivers can often be seen on major roadways such as 501, 17 Bypass, and 544, where the speed limit ranges from 45 to 55. This means that drivers often come up on mopeds very quickly and have to hit the brakes or swerve to get around them, especially if they aren't taking proper precautions to be visible at nighttime. According to Joyce Law Firm, there has been an increase in moped-related injuries and deaths over the recent years. In 2006, there were 6 fatalities and 19 injuries. And since 2011, that has increased to 262 in 2006, there were 262 injuries, and 2011 there were 610 injuries. This can be attributed to our ever-increasing population and moped use in the area. Even more startling is that, I found this on myorinews.com, a Carolina Forest Chronicle investigation found that 20 people died in moped-related crashes just in the first half of 2015 alone in South Carolina. If you just turn on your local news, you'll see you're likely to hear a story about a hit-and-run or a collision involving a moped. According to South Carolina Code of Laws 56-1-1710, at this time, it is only required that you wear a helmet if you're under 21 years old. And also, you are not required to wear reflective clothing. As long as they have a front and rear light on at all times during night, they are in compliance. According to the South Carolina DMV handbook, night is defined as 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. after daylight savings time goes into effect. Another problem with the current use of mopeds on our roadways is that mopeds aren't currently defined as a vehicle, and this comes with a few consequences. At this time, you can drive on a moped while severely intoxicated and not even get a DUI or any kind of get in any trouble. According to Horry County Solicitor Jimmy Richardson, in an interview with News 13 journalist Brendan McDavid, once a driver loses their license to a DUI or any other type of suspension, they can just go obtain a moped permit. Driving is a privilege, and if you have broken the law and lost your license, you should not be able to get around that by purchasing a moped. Besides, if a person will drive a car under the influence, then what is stopping them from driving a moped, especially knowing that they cannot get in trouble for it? This puts themselves and everyone else sharing the roads at a major risk. To remedy these issues, I urge all of you to contact your representatives and voice your support for House Bill 3440. The first change proposed in this bill is to define a moped as a vehicle. This allows the state to collect registration fees and charge riders with DUIs, among other violations. They could also use some of the registration funds to possibly in the future support a public transportation program or even transportation vouchers. In House Bill 3440, there is an exemption for visitors from out of state. If they are in compliance with their home state and they're here for less than 90 days, then they can be exempt from some of these regulations. This helps protect our tourists from missing out on the moped rentals and from causing moped rental businesses from having to close up shop. I also urge all of you to suggest to your representatives that exemptions be made for the moped businesses along the strip, specifically. Possibly a perimeter could be instituted where a license and registration are not required as long as they stay in that particular area. The speed limit in the downtown area doesn't exceed 35 miles per hour anyway. House Bill 3440 proposes to ban moped use on roadways with a speed limit above 45 miles per hour. I suggest this be amended to 40 miles per hour. This would keep mopeds off roads like 707, for example, where they are still causing a lot of congestion by going 15 miles per hour under the speed limit. And anyway, a lot of motorists on 707 are going to go 50, which would just cause even more problems. House Bill 3440 also proposes that mopeds should have a proper and permanent seat at all times. So, for instance, one time I saw a young couple on a moped that was carrying or dragging behind a baby carrier meant for a bicycle. So if you can imagine all the risk a moped rider takes, just imagine that, what could have happened to that baby behind them. I feel for that young family unable to possibly afford a car, but we have to protect our most vulnerable at all times. This bill also requires a minimum insurance to be held by all moped operators. This seems to be inevitable if we are to define a moped as a vehicle. There is also a proposal to require all moped riders and passengers to wear reflective vests approved by ANSI and ISEA Class 1 standards. While this is highly recommended, not all operators may be able to afford this expense. We could have a program to help offset the cost or have that requirement stricken from the bill. The front and rear lights should be sufficient as a minimum standard. Defining a moped as a vehicle solves most of the DUI loophole problem. After this goes into effect, an operator can be charged with a DUI for operating a moped while under the influence, as they should be. This will help keep keep DUI offenders off the roads. The last and arguably most complicated is the issue of our community not having any form of mass transportation. This is a major factor in people resorting to moped use. I suggest us voters urge our lawmakers and city leaders to come up with a plan to fund public transportation within 10 years. Part of this plan could involve raising registration fees by no more than $5 or a slight increase in taxes. We could also have a review board to help cut waste from our government. One person that I interviewed said that she would very likely support this because it is long overdue in our community. In the meantime, we could encourage ride-sharing services like Uber, and we could also advocate those that have a DUI or other type of suspension getting a work permit. According to the Horry County Yellow Pages, here are the contact information for Horry County Public Works and the Horry County Solicitor to contact them about possibly having a public transportation. Here is where you can find information, www.scstatehouse.gov, to contact your lawmakers. Driving presents enough risk as it is without adding unnecessary conditions that moped use on our major roadways present. I hope I've given you enough facts and information for you to make your own decision. I feel it is in our best interest to contact your lawmakers and city leaders about House Bill 3440. Thank you. Any questions?
How does someone risking their own safety by riding a moped put others at risk?
Well, if you're going very slow on your moped and maybe you're going over a bridge or you're at night and someone doesn't see you, they may have to swerve and get in an accident that way. Yes?
Regarding the vest, can you explain it and how much you think it might cost?
There's different standards for different types of visibility. These Class 1 standards that we need in this instance are for low risk, and they have a minimum reflective band of 1 inch, and they're less bulky than Class 2 or 3. And you can find them on Amazon for around $6 to $15.